Welcome to Conversation with Lady Gold Diggers. 00 J Love.
Hello. I have a special guest. I want to get a series,
Surprise guest,
a
because I didn't know I
surprise
was going.
special guest, the one and only. Let me tell you, I want to get a series conversation with Lady Gold Diggers, and what it is Queen Conversation, and I want to dive into relationships. Personal thoughts. It could be how you were raised. It could be what your plans are as a woman, as a mother. It's anything that you want to share. And so I have Carolyn here, and she's graced us with her presence. She's here with J Love, and she's gonna share with us. And she's not prepared or anything, but I just want it to flow natural. And it's women talk. It's Queen's conversation. And I wanted to ask. I want to first say, okay, can I say? Can you give us a little information about you as far as your mother?
Okay, I have two children. One is 22, will be 23 this year, and I have a 14-year-old daughter. I have a son and a daughter. They are 5 years apart. One of them is very active in sports, and the other one is chasing his dreams of welding. He decided to take a trade of welding. So, I'm a how can I put this? I wasn't a strict mom in the beginning, but I do think that I raised my children the best that I could. So they're doing well, and I'm gonna keep praying for them, supporting them, encouraging them to just be the best that they can be. So.
Yeah, and we're cheering her on, and she's a happy, proud mom, and she's doing great and great things. I do. Today, I wanted to have a conversation about. We both have been married one time, once before, and I wanted to talk about this conversation. I'm currently married and everything, but I wanted to have this conversation about when you remarried or when you went into your second marriage, and this is for both of us. I want both of us to talk about it. What were some of the things we were looking for? What were some of the things that we probably wrote out and we said this is what we wanted our future husband to have, or some of the desires we had? Now, some things that we as women may make a long list, and some of them we do have to cross out and then circle back and just to see. But one of the things I do want to say, at the time I divorced with my first husband, I had my three boys. And one of the things is, although it wasn't really spoken out loud, but it may have been mentioned, is that I had three young boys, and it was going to be hard for me to find not only a husband, but some, father figure for my boys. Mm-hmm. And so that was my challenge. And so sometimes we as women don't think that we're enough, or that it may not happen for us, or that what do they say, a load, we have a baggage or mm-hmm. something. Some people say we have baggage, and I want to say that that's not true. And
that's
I want
a misconception, because we do think that because we're bringing more into the relationship or the marriage, but I think what we don't think about is, like, if we're going to go to like a spiritual side of it, is it says not that she who finds a good thing finds a good, it's he who finds a good thing. So we look when we're not even supposed to be looking, mm-hmm. right? Because ultimately, right, if it's the person God wants for us, mm-hmm. He's going to send them our way. I think we get ahead of ourselves when we have our list and yes. we're looking through that list, and then our list don't even mean anything because all these red flags start popping in, and what do? We ignore the red flags, Mm-hmm. So ultimately, for any woman that is divorced or going to find or wanting to another husband, I feel like being patient and waiting mm-hmm. for the right one to come, because we get to looking for things we shouldn't be looking for. That's right. On the list. Yeah.
And what you just said in key is patience. Mm-hmm. I believe that. Sometimes I'm going to say this, when I divorced, I wasn't looking for anything, but somebody did find me, but instead of me stopping it, turning it down, not utilizing, whatever type of relationship, I just went on and just said, "Oh, I'm not doing nothing else." But I should have not even went into it, because what I found out is after my first marriage, and I didn't realize it at the time, I was a little depressed. Looking back at it now, I was depressed, and people are saying now that divorce is a death, it's some sort of death, and I can agree with that. And I just hate that I did not spend enough time. One of my girlfriends said, "Do you think you got remarried too quick?" I'm gonna say yes and no. It's not necessarily that I remarried too quick. I don't think I was fully recovered or at peace. I did wait a good time in between my marriage, I believe, but I was with somebody else before I married my second husband. But I believe that I wasn't fully healed. I was just kind of doing something to get by. But I think patience, like you just said, is very, very important. So I want to ask, I do want to ask, when you were looking for someone to marry, what were some of the things that was on your list that you said, with my new husband, what do I want? Because at that time you had one child. So what were some of the things you thought you wanted?
Well, surprisingly, and it's funny you put me on the spot, so remember that. I didn't even come over here for all this, but I didn't have a list. I was not looking. I enjoyed my life with my son, and the way my life was going, but sometimes the Lord will just put people in your life that can put you on the right track, right? Sometimes it'll be a person for a season, or how they say, for a season or a reason, right? So I didn't know that how I was living wasn't really quite right until the person came along and was like, "Girl, you out of control. Let me straighten your life up a little bit," right? So
when you say the person, are you talking about the man?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So while how I met the person, the man,
yes,
it wasn't your fairy tale love story, or we didn't grow up in school. He didn't see me across the street and be like, "That's gonna be my wife." It wasn't like that, in fact, we always joke about how are we gonna tell our grandchildren how we met, because it's not like a fairy tale meeting, he's somebody that I didn't even know I needed in my life until I got them, And sometimes when God blesses you with somebody in your life that you don't know you need, you do abuse it, because you like, I don't deserve it. What am I going to do with this?
You thought you was undeserving.
Oh yeah, definitely. I had one failed marriage, and then I had a child with me, about 4 or 5 years old. And so with your baggage story, I have baggage, and I'm damaged goods. You know what I'm saying? I have a failed marriage. Who is going to want to be with me? And so after you have one divorce, right?
Yes.
I have two. So after my second one, I got some therapy, because I was like, okay, it's got to be me, Lord. You know what I'm saying? The first time, I know what I did wrong, but this one, what are you doing with me, Lord? What are you trying to, show me? Yes. So I said, you know what? I need to stop being the problem. I know I'm the problem. I gotta be, and so I said, I need to go back and look at some of the things, how I acted, things I said, what did I do? How can I correct me? I can't fix him. I can't fix what the problems was that he brought into the relationship that dissolved it. I can only work with the scraps I'm giving me, So I did, like you said, divorce is like death. I mean, it's a loss, so with any loss, you got to confront it, and it's some grief with that, So I did get some counseling after my first divorce. I did not. But my second divorce, I did get some counseling, some divorce counseling is what my lawyer recommended. And so going through that, I found out that my issue didn't even have anything to do with my marriage. It was from childhood issues that I had been dealing with, that I just kept spewing over into relationship after relationship that I needed to deal with, because you can't be anything to someone else if you're not whole yourself.
Right.
Otherwise you're just gonna keep dealing with my issues, and we can't even enjoy our relationship because we got a broken partner over here. Right. So that's what I did. I got some help. I started working on myself, and eventually, well, where we're at now is I have reconciled with my ex-husband. So and so, like I said before, you just, a person can come along and hold a mirror up to you and be like, "Yeah, you wrong. You living wild. You're not, But are you going to accept it? And are you going to give them grace when they start acting out of character? Because now you looking like, oh, you holding up my mirror. Well, let me hold up yours.
That's right.
Because you ain't perfect yourself, right?
That's
true.
But
as in the Bible, it talks about us being helpmates, right?
Yes.
We're supposed to help them, right? But if we want covering, right, we got to let them lead. We got to let them fall into their role, their leadership role, right? And ultimately, it should be Christ, the husband, and then the wife, and then the children under that umbrella, right? And a lot of times, well, I ain't gonna say a lot of times, my main problem was giving up that control. I want to run everything. I want to lord over you. I want to do everything, right? And knowing my place, and knowing that anybody the Lord sends to you, first of all, have you even told the Lord what it is that you want? Because a lot of times, like I said, I didn't have a list. I'm just out here living life. I didn't have a list. But if you are someone that is seeking a spouse, seeking a partner in life, and you are seeking, ask God, what is it that you would have for me?
Yes.
We get caught up with our lists and what we want. He got to have 6 figures. He got to have a BMW. He got to have all his teeth. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
I'm not dealing with because I'm not dealing with nobody. But then when he brings somebody along that has none of those qualities, but they're a man of God.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, what is it that you
want?
But
a good man of God, because there are some people that are men of God, and I heard that they have beat down their wives or something. Now, I'm just saying, I want to just bring that up to the forefront.
That's true.
But you just shared so much just right then in that condensed little short time that I'm like, whoa! But you shared so much. First of all, I wanted to know, how long did you go to counseling?
About a year.
A year. And then what made you stop?
We got back together.
Okay, so do you think after a year you said, okay, now I fulfilled some things that I believe was out of control with me?
No, I actually wanted to run back and be like, you know what? It wasn't even you. Because when I left the relationship, I blamed it on him. I blamed everything on him, and I felt the immediate need to first be like, Lord, forgive me, because I did some wrong things, and then I felt the urge to run back and be like, hey, I was wrong. These things that I did in our relationship weren't right. I didn't even know I was, this was from my childhood. Surprise, you ain't the crazy one, it's me. So and then operating in that space of being able to get back to a place to allow him to try to work on a relationship, because I had so many walls up. I could tell that he may have wanted the relationship to start sooner, but I still had walls up, like wanting to still do tit for tat, not wanting to forgive. If he was to ask me out on a date, no. Go on a date with somebody else just to make them mad, tit for tat stuff, just doing stuff, not fully forgiven when I should have been fully forgiven. And I wish I would have had older women around me.
I think that's important.
That would have poured into me during my situation, like saying, girl, you only been married 4 years,
just someone to give you some advice, not necessarily to tell you what to do, but that advice is important. Some wisdom, give you some wisdom, because like, I'm gonna say my mother's like, Janika, da 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 da, and I'm like, mother, just say, in my opinion, or this is something I would do or whatever. Because I for me, I have to let my mother know I'm grown, mother. So now you can give me some advice, and I can listen. Because like, we can get advice from the person off the street. There is always somebody that's experienced something that can give you some advice. It's okay to listen. I don't mean you have to take everyone's advice, but I believe it's good to hear people out. But like you just said, women, I think that's very important. And I was saying to somebody, or maybe on my channel, that sometimes we don't know we need a mentor until we realize we need a mentor. So, you know, that's the only thing. Like, I can remember in high school and college, and sometimes that's why you have the sororities and fraternities, because they do have the mentors and things like that. Well, I didn't pledge. Did you pledge anything? So we didn't pledge. So that sorority is not something for us, but there are other people that can be mentors, as far as women in a church, or women in some other type of clubs, or some other type of things that you grow up with. But you don't necessarily know that until sometimes it's too late, or you just wish you had somebody to talk to, or it's the aunt or somebody that
while
can
I
be
say
there.
a mentor is important,
Like, comment, subscribe, and share.
back then I was not in a I wouldn't have been able to receive it. I know, I thought I knew the right answers. I was young and just knew how you gonna tell me?
But let me ask you, did you have an aunt?
Yes, I have a few aunts,
but they couldn't tell you anything.
No, I wouldn't have. I don't think I was in a place to receive it.
Yeah, okay,
you know, because mentorship goes both ways.
Yes,
you got to be trainable. I think we talked about that before.
Yes.
You got to be trainable, teachable. You got to be able to listen. You got to be able to
teachable.
Teachable.
Listen,
So I mean, I think it goes both
Don't
ways.
Don't be training me. No.
Well, I know, or trying to override.
That's right.
You say.
That's right.
So I don't think I was in a place to receive it back then, but I am now. You know, I'm
But I want to say this too. I think when men get together, they talk about. Well, my brothers say they talk about. Sports, news, and women, which I can believe that. But here's the thing: men always share because they'll give their dirt. Oh yeah, man, I was with this hottie and we did this and that, or oh yeah, man, I told that one up, her and her sister. Like, they don't hide stuff. They will share. They will put stuff in their phone and show the whole group, right? Where sometimes, not all of us, but some of us women, we could have just came from creeping from. Could have been a married man, could have been a single man, could have been an old man, could have been some kind of man, and we could have been just creeping with them. We come in and we still wet from whatever, right? And we come in and we just, yeah, girl, I ain't doing nothing. You know, and we won't say nothing. While the men, you understand, the men done had they gather and they done learned and they teaching these younger men. But we women, sometimes, not all of us, we'll get together and we just hide in secrets. But like, some people might say, hey girl, I was with so and so. But a lot of us, we good girls. We ain't finna do that. We got our skirt below our knees and things like that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. But you know what? My thing is, the way men do it, it's a society accepts it. It's a natural.
That's right.
It's cool.
That's right.
When we do it, we that woman that Jesus had brought out and he was about to throw stone down.
They was ready for Jesus to get that stone her.
Yep. Not the man she committed
That's
adultery
right. They didn't even get him out the bed.
We don't even know his name.
They didn't even bring him to the stone pit.
No. So society has placed that type of acceptance on a man's infidelity.
That's right.
Oh, that's normal. That's what men do. I mean, we do it with our girls too. You know, like we'll don't, you gonna stop, you gonna hurt yourself. But every time we let them boys run and do whatever they want to do, they can climb trees.
Talk from a young age.
Yeah, you know, it's just, that's how society has embedded into us to treat these type of things.
Yes.
But ultimately, I mean, the same conversations we're having with our sons, we need to be having with our daughters. Ooh. I mean, I think we need to be having them more with our daughters.
I think so.
More than with our boys.
I think
you know,
because I actually believe, like you said, with the daughters, I actually believe that if we could teach, instill, because, you know, for me, a lot of times, you know, I always talk about a mask. Like, even when our daughters are dating someone, they have their representative, which is the mask, that's courting us women. And then after they got our heart or got us involved or got us to where they say, okay, I got her, then the representative go retire and they show the real person. And the woman is still waiting in the wind or in the wings for the representative to come back. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So I do believe we have to. And then here's the thing with social media. I believe men, young boys, men, all of them, they can send 20 texts to a person, good morning, sunshine, and send it to all of the girls and see which one of them, they going to play with a few of them, then get that rotation, they move to the side and get the other 10 and rotate, and we, oh, he texts me early in the morning, on. But we have to put the women, the young ladies on game. Look, this is the game that sometimes they play, and don't get your, let your family meet these young men who you think you want to be serious with. Let us check it out. We can see then this, because they not texting us in the middle of the night and early in the morning. We don't have any commitment with them. We're not caught up. But, sometimes us as young girls, we like, oh.
I think I'm going to do you one better than that. Okay. I think for that, because it's attention. And for a young girl who didn't get that attention from her father, she's going to jump on that text first because, a man, and my dad didn't, you know what I'm saying? We refer to that as maybe like daddy issues, So I think it's very important that young girls they have a relationship with their father. If not their father, they can have a bonus dad that put just as much love and investment into them because then they don't grow up to be thirsty. Yes. Every man gotta look at them. Every text gotta be responded to. And I'm
you
proud,
saying a lot of
proud.
stuff right there. Every text has to be responded to.
No, it don't, because I'm so blessed that my dad, he raised me in a way where I am not thinking about, when I was growing up, I wasn't thinking about boys, right? Until I was 18 and left home. That's when boys got on my radar. But until then, I was a young girl just climbing trees, playing kickball, doing all the stuff that girls do. All my friends were doing it, and I wasn't. So I just, when I got out there, I was like, oh, I see what he was trying to shield me from. These men are vicious, but he raised a girl who was just as vicious, So I'm just saying. So and so I know that how important a father's role is. And so when I had my children, I always was just into the fact that I want them to have a relationship, whether I'm with their dad or not. I want them to have a relationship with their father, especially my daughter, but my son too, because I saw how that helped me when I was being raised in a home, and then how I got out here and I started dealing with these men on my own. I'm thankful. Every time I call my dad, I'm like, Dad, let me tell you about this one. He's like, you know what? Yeah, he's playing. He's playing you. He was telling me to ghost people before ghosting was even a thing, and I didn't even know. I'm telling you, your dad will put you on game.
That's right. Yeah, because he's gonna understand the male psyche.
Yes.
Anyway,
and I'm like, how my dad know? Oh, he is a man.
But the good thing about it, your dad willing to share that with you and put you on game to protect you and protect your heart and just to protect your family and to cover you as well. But you said something earlier and you spoke about covering. Before we get into that, I do want to kind of cover a little bit about. So when I was looking for a husband, I had my 3 boys and they were young, and I was telling her, Carolyn, I wrote a list. Now, where is my list? I'm not sure, but I can tell you some of the things on my list. It was simple stuff.
You gotta go find that list.
No, I had to find my list, but it was simple things. My list was I wanted them to have been married and divorced. Really? Because I wanted them to know what marriage was. Okay. That was in my mind. I wanted them to have one baby mama. I didn't want to deal with a whole bunch of nothing. So they could, they can have children. I have children. I wasn't like that. I wanted somebody financially stable. I didn't want anybody that over drunk or anything like that. And it was a few other things. I know I wanted them to be a family person because I grew up in a separate household. So family for me is very important. Like in my mind, it's we going out on picnics and we're holding hands and the children are on the side and that kind of vision. We climbing trees together, honey. We like that. That's in my mind. I wanted that because I felt like I had that in my first marriage. Like we'd all go bike riding. You see what I'm saying? We'd all go skating and stuff. So I wanted family.
So let me ask you a question. Because I often think about this one myself, was religious preference on your list?
Oh, now that's a good one. I'm so glad. Because we both saved and sanctified and Holy Ghost and Holy Ghost down. But see, what I was telling Carolyn is I'm just now, like God has probably always talked to me. But have I always received it? Have I always heard him? Have I always been aware? Because here's the thing. I can remember a glimpse of things coming up, and I would like tell my brother, I would say blah blah blah, and he said, and for me it was like women's intuition. So is it women intuition or is it the Holy Spirit? I'm not sure, but my brother would always say, women have women intuition. Now he's Bible down, Bible down. He's got the spirit flex, and he said women have such intuition that they don't take advantage of it. I always remember him saying that, and I would always have flashback moments of knowing that something was talking to me at the time, because I don't want to say it was the spirit and it might not have been the spirit, so I'm really cautious about that. But anyway, I would get something in me and I would be like, that didn't sound right, but I didn't act on it, or I didn't listen to it, if you will. So when you asked me the question, was spiritual, so I didn't grow up in church.
Me either.
Although I visit church. You see what I'm saying? I was the bus child, that the neighborhood school bus and all that. But I can remember at one time there was none of that. And I guess when it was working and driving, I didn't necessarily go all the time. I would go maybe once a month, or just every so often. My mother never took me to church. I can remember her sister would take me, my aunt. And so for me, I wanted somebody that went to church. But that's where it started and stopped. Okay. So I was the person that when I would go, so I thought it was important for my children to go to church. But see, my ex-husband would get the boys every weekend, and I might get them once a month. So when I got them, we all went to church. Okay. And we was all at Greater Vision. We all went to church. And then we go to Sunday school when I had them. I even had my foster children would go to church and all that stuff. So that wasn't, so I wanted somebody that went to church, but what did that mean? Because when I would go to church, when the preacher would say, turn to Philippians 3 and 5, I'd be in there like that, and I read while I'm in church and all that, and catch up with them and say, okay, yeah, and then when I get home, I put my Bible up, and to church next time. Okay. Do you understand? Right. That's me. And so that covering, we go back to covering, that wasn't, that I can't, it was a person that, went to church. It wasn't, I want somebody to 100% cover me, because I wasn't aware of that. I want to say that word. I wasn't aware of it. So that at that time, that wasn't on my list. Somebody that went to church was.
Okay. For me, it wasn't, I wanted them to have a relationship with God, right? The church part, we could get to that later, but for me, I just wanted them to have not to stop my relationship, because I have dated atheists, and I could not sleep at night. Just like, okay, this is not good. I mean, ones who have totally decided that there is no God, and you can't tell me there is. So I'm like, I knew.
Interesting.
Yeah, I knew that, because I would be conflicted, and I'm like, okay, I can't.
They told you they was atheists?
Oh yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah. So I knew for a fact that can't be for me, because when I tell them I'm going to church on Sunday, the enemy rises up in them like, oh, why? He don't exist. Whoa, wait a minute. Yeah, and I would try to invite them to church or try to talk to them, and they wouldn't want to hear it, So I know for a fact I had to have someone in my life that at least had a relationship with God, because there's some people who will fake it. I go to church every Sunday, but they don't have a relationship with God.
And that relationship is very different. So through my now relationship and a few years back, my walk is very different. Like that back then, I'm asking for something that I didn't have. Yeah, I didn't have the relationship. I still had a lot of questions. I was still walking around like, why are we praying to God and out to Jesus and not God? Okay. Honestly, that was a question. And then God, Jesus, both of them hit me, and the Holy Spirit, they hit me. Look here, Janika, baby. Look, this is what it is. You see what I'm saying? So I had to learn, and I had to build my spiritual foundation and my relationship. And then I have to, now that I understand the covering, but so you've said covering a few times, and we've talked about covering. And so for me, here's the other thing. Well, if you go back old times in the Testament and Old and New, and when they talk about covering, if we were doing what we were supposed to do, we would leave our parents' house and go into covering like the women. So when we talk about 100% covering and versus this 50-50 and all of that in a relationship, if we were leaving our parents' house, the women, the daughters, and then we go to our husband under this new covering, 100% covering, emotional and everything like that, and submission, we would have been protected the entire time. But now a lot of us are struggling mothers that we've lost the covering, or we're daughters with no fathers that have, or fathers that have never covered us, or not covered us emotionally,
right?
Or you can cover financially, but you can be missing emotionally and some other aspects.
Correct,
that where do we pick up and regain this covering thing? Because there are so many men nowadays that do talk 50-50 relationship. And so I've never been a 50-50 person, because it makes me say, well, that's a roommate.
Oh,
that's how that makes me feel. And I'm like,
right.
I'm just saying that make me feel like a roommate. And I'm like, I don't want a roommate. I didn't sign up for a roommate.
Yeah.
And I want to say this. I don't want to offend my mother, because, my mother has had occasional people, men friends that stayed, dated and stayed, and I never wanted that for myself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just never don't get comfortable, because I knew I was more than that. I was worth more than you shacking up with me. You know what I'm saying? And I had these boys, and I don't want to have a high turnover either. That's for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, we hiring and firing people over here, because I know I'll fire some folks, because, especially if you gonna call me an alpha, we getting you up out of this joker. You know what I'm saying? So, there are so many people nowadays, and I'm just saying, although my relationship with God wasn't there, but there are so many aspects where I'm like, well, that ain't right. Even though you can not live with a person and still not be right, because you can still have sexual intercourse and all these other things, and you not be right. And because I've met a few ladies, and I applaud them, and they said, we are not, I'm not having sex until I get married. And they're grown women.
Celibate.
Grown women. And at first it was like, oh, like, I'm like, what? You get married? Sure, for real? Like, I had to put my mind around it. But now, I understand. I'm 10 toes down, do what you do. If that's, especially if you trying to live according to God.
Right.
I don't have any problem with that. I just had to get my mind around that and say, oh, glory be to God. That's good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But as far as covering, what do you, if you have a man to cover you, what does that look like?
For me, because I'm an independent woman, right? And I'm good with being able to take care of myself. I never wanted to be a burden for anybody, even when there was a PCS and I had to go with my spouse PCS, I paid off everything that I could pay off so that my bills wouldn't burden him, right? So I feel like when you get me, you're getting a blessing, you're not getting a burden, right? So when I look at covering, I look at it at our current situation, it's 50-50. Okay. Right? It's 50-50 because it works with our current financial situation, our financial arrangement. He's got some things he's trying to do. I got some things I'm trying to do, right? Covering, I feel like it should start spiritually first, right? I need you to be a man of God, right? I need to be able to talk to you about the Bible.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I need to, because it says in the Bible, we got a person that's your man, right? So I need to be able to. I need
you want him to understand and explain
right.
parts that you don't know.
Biblically intelligent.
Okay.
Right?
I got
because if there's one thing that you can't do, it's like you can't control me unless you know that word. Okay. Because my thing is, if you show me what I mean, if you show me in the word, oh, I'm all yours. You got me. Okay. Like if you could show me I'm wrong in the word,
that's sexy
to me.
That's right.
You got my attention.
That's
because you can pull the word out and be like, Carolyn, what you said to that lady,
Mm-hmm.
this was right here in the Bible. How did you miss this?
Ooh.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that will get me because
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my goodness.
And get you all the way together.
Right. But for again, I'm not trying to break God's heart. I'm trying I'm trying to be a good Christian woman. I'm trying to, be Christ-like.
Yes.
So if a man can show me in the Bible where I'm not and trip me up, oh, you got my attention, So cover me spiritually,
Yes.
know the word, you know what I'm saying? Be able to have Bible study with me, be able to pray for me, be able to pray for our family, To me, I feel like I would accept that over finances, and I'm not joking about that because believe it or not, you may lose your job, but you had a job, you capable of working. You could get another job, right?
Yes.
And if you can't, I can work. I can cover us until you get on your feet.
Until you get on your feet.
Until you get on your feet. When you get on your
what
feet.
What if he can't get on his feet?
That's the thing, right? I think a lot of women throw in the towel too soon. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, if a man wants to be a man and he's out here struggling, he can't find a job, and then on top of that, the world beating him up, then he got to come home and then hear you beat him up even more. How is that encouraging, right? So I'm the type, I would be willing to hold us down until you can get to where I'm at, so that we're gonna have to replace somebody's income.
Right.
But
Missing money. Yeah.
But my thing is, like, even in the Bible, it talks about us being a helpmate. And to me, that's 50. To me, that's 50 right there, saying, I'm a helpmate. I'm supposed to help. I ain't supposed to just sit back and let you do everything. Right? Because even in
if he can't get a job, what does his help look like? Besides praying over you and everything, what else does it look like?
Okay, so if he can't, for criminal, you mean like he can't work because
no, if we just have a shortage, we don't have good jobs right now. And he can't find a decent job. What does that look like?
Okay, so he can't do a job that allows him to get benefits. We got cutting grass out here. We got painting houses. We got workers that do
something
stuff under the table. We got things that a man. I know, man. My dad for one, when he couldn't get a job, there was stuff he did that he, doing other odd jobs to get money to make sure that his family had things that they needed to survive. So
do what you can do until you can get to where you need to be.
Right. Okay. Maybe start your own business. But that looks
that
like me encouraging you and supporting and helping you get there. Until if I have a job, until you have, I think a lot of times we don't want to put in the work, right? But why would you do that?
Yeah.
If you put in the work and then they finally get to a place and then somebody else come along and take all that you've invested, you're going to feel bad. Why not support and nurture and grow?
Okay.
We do that with our gardens.
Okay.
We do that with our plants, right?
Yes.
We pour water. We be out there picking weeds. We be out there helping the stuff grow. That's right. You ain't trying to hear that. You're like, you ain't trying to hear that, JD, because you ain't.
No,
I'm just saying, though.
No, I want to break it down because you saying that some people say, yeah, my man can't get a job and he having a hard time right now.
I've heard
and it's okay. And then they say, well, I'm going to go and I can get this good job and I'm going to go work it and I'll do it. And maybe he changes roles and maybe
he don't want to
more
work
at home and maybe they got the children and it's like, now we can't pay for daycare because he's at home, so let's just let him take care of the children at home and I'll just stay out there and work and stuff like that.
But do they both agree to that? That's my thing. Like some of them, I have a thought in my mind, but we ain't gonna drop names on YouTube.
No.
But some of them just don't want to work.
Okay. But what else you got what else is your covering?
Okay, so it may come a time where there may need to be financial, like say I get sick, I got cancer, and I can't work. So I would need you to be financially covering because I may have medical bills or something like that, right? So then I would need him to cover me financially, right?
Yeah.
So, and he may or may not be able to do that, but that's part of the covering that people look for first.
I got a question.
The financial covering.
I got a question.
Or for you too.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
Now here's the thing. When you get married, now I can't say where it is in the Bible or nothing like that. But when they say when, two become one and all that, they said that you're supposed to join all your money together and all that you have. That way that you're one.
No,
Why your face
I don't
look
think
like
that's
that?
what it says, Janita. You gonna
They
make
say
me go
when
get the word.
they say when two become one. Like let me say, they say, you know, you should have a joint accounts. Nothing should be off limits. Like if your husband, you know, say your husband is here, let me see your phone, and you just go right. You don't need to be like, that's not just your phone. That's my phone too, right? Give me let me. Not that I'm checking on you. Right. I just need to make a phone call. My phone is over there charging. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Two become one. So we should be able to be in each other's account. I'm just saying. In that's not okay, but we're gonna go back to your covering list. We just gonna go back to your covering list.
I got you. I understand what you're saying, that scripture about the equally yoked.
Yes.
Or two become one.
Flesh becomes flesh. Yes.
Okay.
And that's part of the covering, because if she's leaving from under her father and mother, and she's forsaking them because he is the head of the house, is God and then the husband.
Right.
And then, you know, she's the helpmate. So whatever he has, she multiplies.
Right.
Right? So wouldn't she multiply the money because it's the family's money?
Right.
Here's the thing, when we go into second and third marriages, and sometimes we're hurt from our first marriage, that we take it into our second marriage.
True.
And sometimes when we get married at older ages, we like, no, bruh, I've been working this money by myself all this time. I can't trust you like that. Yeah. But we trust them to take, you know, their hand in marriage and stuff like that. Right. I'm just saying. But
okay, so you know about the Proverbs 31 woman. You've read that, right?
Yes.
And I read it and I'll be like, man, I'm not this. I'm not this. I'm not, you know. But her husband was known, right? And she done so much stuff, right? She worked with her hands, you know what I'm saying? I mean, to the point where people was buying from her. She had bought a vineyard, right? And she had money. She had basically, she was making things happen, right? Helpmate. And he was too, right? I feel like
that's wait a minute. Who did you say? What? Who are you talking about?
The Proverbs 31 woman.
Okay. I can't say I got that by memory, but I'm listening.
That's what she was, the type of woman that worked with her hands. Her husband was known, right? He was an elder or something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So her husband was known. She worked with her hands, right? And I think that's what we should be instilling in our daughters, right? To be like a Proverbs 31,
a helpmate,
right? Don't just get out here, like don't get on assistance and be expecting somebody else to take care of you. Don't even go in, because even back in the day when they did take the woman, didn't a dowry come with her?
Yes.
Didn't some money come with? Okay, this is what the father has: a few cows,
and you know, some cultures still,
you know, this
African
is what you
cultures,
get, right? So you still inherit help. Because she came with a few cows and a goat and a bottle of milk.
To get you started, because you still got a ready-made family.
Right, you know. But nowadays, what are we coming with? What you getting a woman and she already has 4 children. You're getting her debt, right?
That's true.
You're getting whatever state the last man
What do you do with her debt?
But this is what I'm saying. You inherit it. Once you get married, that now becomes your debt.
Okay.
So now you getting her debt.
Yeah.
You're getting these 4 kids by 4 different dudes.
That's right.
You're getting the mental state that she's in from the last 4 dudes that messed her over. So you're getting a big old bag. And this is, what's he supposed to do with that?
He got to be prepared for that. He shouldn't accept that challenge.
That's why I said, he who finds a good thing, right?
Right.
So I'm just saying, the Lord knows who to send to this man.
Yeah.
You know, that needs
if he has that relationship with the Lord. That's what's important.
Yeah.
We want to find a man that has that relationship with our Heavenly Father. We want to have that. We want to find him. That way he knows how to cover us. We want to find a good one. Just because you have a relationship don't mean you what it is.
That's true.
You know, so we just want to find a good one. So I think that those are such challenges, because I feel like a man can go on the street and find a woman and she could be all of that. And I think it's so easy for a man to find a woman. Now it slims down the pickings when it's a good woman to a great woman.
You just said a woman,
but he can find someone that's ready to support him. A man can go out there and not even have a job, and there's plenty of women out here on these streets that want him. They just want a man. It's a lot of women like that. But us women, it's so hard for us to find, I feel like, a good man. And now we throwing spiritual man, with a relationship with our Heavenly Father. That's so hard. That is willing to cover us. And when I'm talking covering, I'm now realizing there is an emotional side of this covering that we need. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was somebody at church that said, when they went, not to name drop, when they went to overseas and their wife was there, that she would call him while he was at work and call and call and call, and he would sit and talk when he could, and he would talk, and that was the relationship. They had a good friendship. So that's what I'm looking for, is a friend.
Yeah.
Because communication can make or break a marriage. Financial communication and some other stuff I can.
Insecurities. Yeah.
Yeah, insecurity. Yeah, you have to be. That's trust.
Yeah.
Because that insecurity is going to go to trust, and then it's going to go to mental health. Like you said, as far as you need in counseling. I know before I got married my second time, and I don't want to keep this too long, but before I got married my second time, we went to premarital counseling.
Oh, that's good.
But we didn't go with I wish we would have went to the pastor, because that would have been.
Where did y'all get your premarital counseling?
From a regular counselor, from Post, from
So it wasn't spiritual?
No, it wasn't spiritual. It was because, you see certain things, and I'm like, let's go to counseling. But here's the thing. Some people say, "Oh, that counseling doesn't help." Find a good counselor. I had a chewed up, thrown away counselor, and he was an old white dude, and I just was like, this joker don't know nothing. I was so mad. I was like, I can't even remember a lot of stuff, but I was like, I'm sitting in there like, let's go. Like, this ain't worth nothing.
It's wasting our time.
Yeah,
wasting our money.
But what I
did,
did,
had to pay for that.
But it was free because it was Fort Hood.
Oh, okay.
But what I didn't realize is that you have to have a good counselor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But it would have the icing on the cake would have been a spiritual counselor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That would have been. Chad, they probably would like, wait a minute. Y'all you go that way, you go that way. Y'all get they would have been like, get the deaconesses or whoever on that one there. They would have been like, get the deacons on him. You see what I'm saying? And then you will build a better foundation. See, and then that way, maybe the older women could have poured into me, and then the men, and they don't have to be old. But I just said that, but I was wanting some wisdom.
I know.
And
then
they could have. That's it. Because you can take a young couple and they can teach some older people.
Oh,
some
absolutely.
Things,
We have some young couples at our
right.
church.
So I don't want to say, that's why I said, well, let me not say older people, but so far as that covering for me, I'm thinking not only spiritual. I want spiritual. I want the financial protection because I'm gonna multiply you, but I need you to be. I need a. That's right. I need a teammate.
Yeah.
I need the teammate, and if I have a teammate, a good teammate, then I'm gonna have the communication, communication, financial.
Are you a team player? Are you willing to let the person operate as the team? Like, if you give them a position on your team, are you willing to let them play their position? Or do you try to tell them how to do like if you plan on a team?
I got you. Okay. I got you already from the top.
Are you? So
here's the thing. I believe I am a better teammate now.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So so here is my thing too, and then this is what we just have to learn. I think God has gifted me with seeing things down the road. Okay. Like, I don't just stay here in the present. I'm already, and sometimes that's not that good. And sometimes it's all right. I can see things all the way down. And I think God has gifted, that's one of the gifts he's given me, to not just be present, not just be here, but be down the road. Now, present is different. But, so, you said team player. So sometimes somebody can run a pass to me, and I already know that's a foul. But if you let me multiply it, then you got to take my advice. But, I have to. So here's a few things I have to learn. Like the counselor told me once, Janika, ask them if you can give the advice you want to give. That's number one, because don't just force it and down it. Then the second part is you got to hear all the teammates out. So that's important. Hear all the teammates out. That way you can be a proficient teammate. So so that I don't knock it down. You want to do what?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Even though you're forecasting is a foul on the play.
Yeah.
Let them run it through, because even teammates have to celebrate their losses.
That's
and celebrate their wins together.
Right. But you don't want too much of a financial pain with some of them losses. Now they can take you under.
I got you.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Now you trying to bankrupt us now. Wait a minute.
No.
Time out. We might need some spiritual counseling on that play, because I ain't feeling it. You see what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah.
But that's the thing. But what I'm learning and what I wanted to say is that the emotional covering.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can feel hurt by things, and you tell your teammate, your partner, your spouse, and you let them know, and they just kind of like, oh, just leave them alone. That's it? That's all? I still have some stuff. I want another perspective, because I want to see, am I far off from what I'm thinking? But I know I'm hurt.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And you just rubbed it off like, get your big girl panties on and let's go.
But is that what you're projecting? Because you seem like I'm sorry, you are a strong woman.
Okay,
you are alpha female.
Okay, can I say
a lot of times, like in our thing that we got, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I know, like I ended up calling you today because the text messages can get lost in translation, like it ain't always clear. And I was sending you emojis like, okay. Because I'm like, let me call her. Okay. And I don't like to call people Janika. Okay. I would prefer text over call. Okay. But I have to call you because I don't want nothing to get confused. I'm low key scared of you.
Oh no, don't be scared.
Yeah, I am, because
I know you told me
so much. Like,
can I just say this? So a long time ago, we were supposed to go work out together. Now she said something to me, and I said, "Oh yeah, let's go work out and whatever." And she canceled on me. Later on, 6 months, a year later, she said,
"A year,
Janika, let me tell you something. Your essence or something," she said, "shows up before you show up." Some kind of way she put it. She said, "I was so scared. You said you hurt yourself or injured trying to prepare for the work." And I'm like, I'm not that bad. We would have done, what's your pace? That's how I am. Now, the younger Janika, 20-something, whatever, fresh out of military or fresh in the military, we ready. I'm going with the spaz group. But now, I'm not
so militant. And it's like,
I'm not now. I'm telling you, I'm much more
But I'm
laid
just saying,
back.
that's probably why your partner was like, "Girl, brush that off. I don't see you brush off worse."
Okay, but
like, you got this. You can handle this.
That's true.
Because I'm so used to you always
and
not
that's
caring.
true.
But this breaking you, like, I don't see you come through a big storm.
That's
and
right.
This little stuff you asking me about over here,
that's
got
true.
You shook up.
That's true.
That's probably
so. But here's the thing: I can only be strong for so long. Then, like they say, check on your strong friends. You ever heard that? Check on your strong friends, because I got cracks. I'm tired of being tired. I'm so tired.
Well, have you expressed that to your partner? Have you told him that? No, because you know what? That would show a sign of weakness.
No, I have.
You have shown.
And I don't. I'm tired of being that strong partner. I'm tired. I'm tired of knocking everything out. Like, I'm so tired that. But here's the other part of it. When you start asking for help and your partner is not used to you asking for help, what does that look like? And that'd have to be another conversation, because this is.
Man, I forgot they was even here. It was getting so good.
Oh, well, good.
I forgot.
But I wanted to just say this is Ladies Conversation, Women Talk. It's conversation with Lady Gold Diggers, GOAL, Gold Diggers, Queen Conversation. And we just wanted to give you a little segment from two very different and the same perspective, because we definitely want God to be the forefront, to have a covering over us through our men, spouses, and future spouses and everything. So we appreciate it. Thank you so much, Carolyn. See, it was all right. It worked out. Yay! She was like, "Look here." I said, "No, you come on."
Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching 00J Love Conversation with Lady Gold Diggers. Send me some questions that you would like for us to answer in other episodes.